Today is Friday, July 30th. Welcome to this edition of Nevada County Now. Today's episode, we're talking mask mandates, cyber attack, youth leadership, and more. Hello and welcome to Nevada County Now. I'm your host, Cole Pettit. The Dixie Fire continues to burn and send smoke our way. The fire has now burned more than 240,000 acres and is just 24% contained. The National Weather Service in Sacramento is showing us this expected smoke forecast. For the most current air quality information, visit airnow.gov. The National Weather Service in Sacramento is also calling for a chance of thunderstorms today through Sunday. Today has the best chance of thunderstorm coverage over higher mountain elevations, with more isolated Sierra thunderstorms this weekend. Be weather aware if you have outdoor mountain plans. If you do find yourself caught in a lightning storm, look for safe shelter, stay away from trees or tall objects, stay away from water, and avoid hilltops or open fields. We've seen an increase of 168 COVID-19 cases this week, yet another increase from previous weeks. Our total now sits at 5,350 confirmed cases. 216 cases are currently active, but for now our hospitalization rate appears steady with 7 hospitalizations and the death toll remains at 75. Joining us now for more on the COVID situation, as well as additional news from the county, here's Taylor Wolfe, Public Information Officer for the County of Nevada.
Happy Friday, everyone. For today's Nevada County Update, I'll be sharing an update on increasing COVID transmission, a new community resiliency grant program approved by our Board of Supervisors this Tuesday, our mid-year report on board objectives, the Youth Leadership Award recognizing members of the Nevada Union Debate Team, and another reminder to apply for our Citizens Academy before August 15th. For this week's COVID update, we continue to see increasingly high transmission rates in Nevada County. Compared to late July last year, we are seeing nearly 2.5 times more COVID cases per week. Because of this trend, federal, state, and local public health departments are issuing recommendations to return to indoor masking for all individuals, including those that have already been vaccinated. The CDC announced their masking indoor recommendation on Tuesday, the California Department of Public Health following suit on Wednesday, and our Nevada County Public Health recommendation coming on Thursday. For more on this, we head to Cole for an interview with our Nevada County Health Officer, Dr. Scott Kellerman.
It seems like the numbers are going up again. How concerned should people be about the recent changes in the numbers?
Cole, you remember, June 15th, Governor Gavin Newsom, I'm sure you've had him on your show a bunch, but he said the tier system's over. You know, we're going to go into a different system, and then CDC after that said, if you immunize, you don't have to wear a mask indoors. If we were back into the tier system, which is we're not, we would be firmly in the purple tier, the worst. You know, there's purple, red, orange, yellow. And we were in the purple tier in the past, and then we moved into the red. And then before, in early June, we'd moved into the orange tier. And everybody was patting themselves on the back, being very appreciative. And what defines the purple tier is having more than 10 cases per 100,000. We're at 16.1. Per 100,000 right now. So we're substantially embedded in the purple tier. It does not mean we're in purple tier type restrictions. We're not talking about closed businesses. We're not talking about school closures. None of that. It's not even being discussed. It's not on the table. But what we are talking about, Cole, is a high level of virus in our community. And it's mainly the Delta variant, which is exceedingly contagious. So, yep, your question is, should we be concerned? The answer is yes, we should be. I've lived in Africa a long time, and a lot of people have said they're afraid of the rebels and afraid of malaria and afraid of typhoid fever. I don't think you should have those type of fears, just a healthy respect. And so I think we should have a healthy respect for this virus because it's mutated, it's changed. We have this variant, and the variant is incredibly contagious. And the reason it's contagious is studies have shown when they do sampling of either nose or lung samples of the virus, they find that there's 1,200 times as much virus with the Delta variant as from the original strain. It's true, 1,200 times more virus. So people get contagious earlier in the course of the infection, and then they really shed the virus while they're infected.
Gotcha. Now, one of the things that I've been hearing people bring up is now the new guidance is that vaccinated people should also be wearing masks in indoors or more high-risk situations. Some people have been implying that that means that the vaccine doesn't work, and saying things about, well, if you're vaccinated, you shouldn't have to wear a mask, and all of those sorts of claims. Could you speak to what that's about and why people that are vaccinated should be wearing masks?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, we are seeing some breakthrough infections with people immunized. Vaccines never, if you read the literature, it's 95% effective, the Pfizer and the Moderna. Probably for this, nobody knows what the numbers are, but probably in the 80s, low 80s effectiveness. You have to remember, though, although it's perhaps less effective against the Delta variant, 99.2% of all the COVID deaths in June were in the unimmunized people. So it has tendency, although if you are immunized, you can get infected, and if you're infected, you can shed the virus to others. You're very unlikely to be hospitalized and very unlikely to die from this. And so the upshot is that the vaccine still is very effective, but we are seeing it in people that have been immunized before. And so for me, I don't see a problem. I've never stopped wearing a mask, ever. And people, they've asked me, should I wear a mask when I go shopping or go to the theater or in a restaurant? Now, when you're eating, when you're going in, take off your mask. You got physical distancing in a restaurant. And should I be wearing a mask? And for sure. Should I wear a mask when I go to a physician's office? Well, I certainly would. And you'll see your doc wearing a mask. If you go to a nursing home, you'll see the nursing home employees wearing a mask. So I think it's a small price to pay to keep this virus at bay. People have said masks don't work. They do. Just as an example, in 2019, they were anywhere, most estimates around 55,000 deaths from flu in 2019. In 2020, mainly due to wearing masks, I get social distancing and things, but mainly wearing masks, there were 685 deaths. I meet with the primary care providers in this community on a weekly basis, and a question I asked a while back is, have you seen a case of flu in 2020? And none of the docs had seen a case in 2020. Did you see them in 2019? Yeah, many cases. So that's, the example of that. Flus transmit the same way. Droplet spread, coughing, breathing. It's shed the same way as COVID-19. So masks do work. So we're not talking about cutting down schools, closing schools or businesses, a fair, none of that. It's just if you're inside, wear a mask. It'll protect you and it'll protect others. Yeah, there's a virus that doesn't know any boundaries, no borders, no political persuasion. Why do we have boundaries? Why do we have borders? Why do we have difference of political persuasion when we have a common enemy? And what at the health department we're asking, I think some pretty reasonable requests to the population. Please be immunized. Immunization, we've given over 3 billion doses worldwide. Rare is a side effect. Not seeing anything serious. It's usually very modest side effects, and the results are impeccable. That if you're immunized, you're very unlikely to get sick, very likely you'll end up in a hospital, very unlikely that you'll end up as a statistic. And then likewise, we have a surge going on right now with this Delta variant simply because it's so contagious. Wearing a mask. It's considered an act of compassion. I think people do have the right to refuse immunization, but nobody's got the right to pass this virus on to their friends and family and other people they come in contact with. So let's not spread this virus anymore. Let's live with kind of an attitude of compassion and charity toward our neighbors and ourselves.
Thanks, Dr. Kellerman and Cole. With our high transmission rates, due in part to the highly transmissible Delta variant, public health officials continue to recommend getting vaccinated as the best option to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and serious illness. Vaccine appointments continue to be widely available through myturn.ca.gov, including one-time pop-up clinics by our Nevada County Reach team, walk-in clinics, or to request transportation assistance or an in-home vaccination appointment. This Tuesday, at our Nevada County Board of Supervisors meeting, the board unanimously approved $2 million to launch a new Community Resilience Grants program with funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. Applications are opening on our purchasing department website through September 10th for community-serving institutions that responded to the negative impacts of the pandemic with programs that increase our community's resiliency, support recovery, and provide relief. Eligible nonprofits, businesses, and special districts can apply for up to $100,000 in grant funding. To learn more, find information on our website at mynevadacounty.com and join our virtual applicants conference on August 11th at 2 p.m. Also at our Tuesday board meeting, the board heard a presentation on our mid-year board objectives report. The county's 2021 board objectives include fiscal stability and core services, emergency preparedness, economic development, broadband, cannabis, housing, and homelessness. The quarterly report aims to increase transparency and accountability regarding the work and resources dedicated towards these board and community priorities by tracking over 50 department initiatives and nearly 20 performance measures. Learn more about our board objectives and view the quarterly reports on our website at mynevadacounty.com/boardobjectives. This Tuesday, the board also recognized 2 student members of Nevada Union's debate team with the Nevada County Youth Leadership Award and gave a certificate of recognition to their coach. Debate team partners Evelyn Granfield and Jackson Witt and their volunteer coach, Stephen Goldberg, earned the award due to their achievements in debate, leadership among their peers, and community service. Evelyn and Jackson recently competed in the Tournament of Champions, placing higher than any other team in the program's history, and are student teachers for the NU debate team, as well as active in extracurriculars like social justice issues, sports, and music. Let's hear what the board had to say about their achievements.
This really is quite a recognition for Mr. Goldberg, for Evelyn, and for Jackson. Board members, any comments? Ed?
Well, I think this is wonderful, and I think what you guys, Jackson and Evelyn, have accomplished really puts you at the elite forefront of the students in your class. I look forward to seeing what you can accomplish in the years to come. And actually, I kind of wish we'd had a little bit of your experience this past year. We've had plenty of opportunities to debate. We could have used your skills, believe me.
Well, Ed said it. Ed said it all. We're so lucky to have this excellent program here. Mr. Goldberg, thank you so much for dedicating so much time and energy and talent and skill and imparting that to our students, and to the students, to Jackson and Evelyn, wow.
Jackson, for here it's a little different because your mom's been a huge cheerleader, so I feel like I've known you since you were a little boy. We go in and we have these conversations, and it's just impressive to see where you have come. And you as a valedictorian, that's such an accomplishment. I am going to say, when you move on in life, whoever your spouses are, I hope they're strong people. Because they may never win a debate in your household.
This is quite an accomplishment because I think, Stephen, you took 4 teams to the tournament champions this year, and that's quite impressive. Little Hicktown up here,
Thank you.
Congratulations to Evelyn, Jackson, and Stephen. Last but not least, don't forget to apply for our 2021 Citizens Academy by August 15th. Citizens Academy gives participants a behind-the-scenes look at county government, opportunities to meet county department heads, and network amongst their classmates. Classes are Monday evenings beginning in September through December. Find more information and apply by August 15th at mynevadacounty.com/Citizens Academy. That's it for my Nevada County update this week. Find all this information and more by subscribing to our weekly newsletter at mynevadacounty.com/Nevada County News. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Taylor. On Tuesday, Grass Valley also had their city council meeting. During that meeting, they announced that they had been the victim of a cyber attack. The following day, they held a press conference where Police Chief Alex Gammelgard provided some additional details and fielded questions. Let's take a look.
On June 29th, 2021, the city of Grass Valley discovered an unknown source had made an unauthorized access to our information systems. The perpetrator of this cyber attack informed the city that they had obtained data from the city systems and threatened to publish that data if the city did not pay a ransom. We took immediate actions to protect our systems. We contacted federal law enforcement. The police department here locally was involved, and we launched an investigation with the assistance of professional cybersecurity firms. Fortunately for the city, it had minimal impacts on our ability to provide our core services, including police, fire, and emergency response, and nearly all the systems remained operational. As part of our response, we did make discretionary outages, which were brief, and have since been restored. The purpose of that was to sever connections to other critical resources in an effort to mitigate any potential active cyber threat. The city ultimately did choose to pay a ransom to keep the data from being exposed on the World Wide Web. The amount of that ransom will be covered by insurance, and the city is working to identify the potentially compromised data and will give the notice to those whose data may have been affected. I know one of the questions we're going to get is how much ransom was paid. That's not something that we're in a position to release for a number of reasons. So we're still early in some of our forensic findings. We are working with a firm to help us determine more specifics. What we do suspect that this is probably a foreign actor. The type of cyber attack was one where data was alleged to have been compromised and stolen from our organization, held ransom, and threatened to be published on the internet. We were not placed in a situation where our systems were encrypted, and we are working to determine whether that was part of the design of the attack and it was thwarted by our systems, or whether or not that was not by design. But ultimately, we did not experience an encryption, and so our systems remained operational. Governments do operate on tax dollars, and so we should be accountable and careful with every dollar that we spend. And the city's exposure on this particular incident will be that of our $50,000 deductible coverage.
Two thoughts. We do not expect to experience an uninsured loss, so we're covered. Secondly, most cities don't have traditional commercial insurance issued by insurance companies. Instead, they participate in risk pools, which are joint powers agencies or governments that do pooled self-insurance. Other than that technical distinction, it operates an awful lot like insurance, and the insurance will cover all of our out-of-pockets on this experience.
Also during the meeting, the council decided on the proposed city parking lot located at 309 Mill Street. This project had already been approved by the Planning Commission, but was then appealed and thus brought before the City Council for further discussion. Here's a look at that process.
Here's the half-acre property on Mill Street. It's between Chapel and Wall Streets. Other than multiple family dwellings to the south and Wolfe Creek to the east, the property is surrounded by single-family residential land uses. Here's photographs of the site. First one is along Mill Street looking towards downtown. Second one, you'll see the property slopes, has a pretty good slope. It slopes about 20 feet from Mill Street to the bottom of Wolfe Creek. And you'll see the bottom photo on your right-hand side is from the bottom of the property looking up towards Mill Street. Again, the entitlements before you are a development review, i.e. design review of the components that make up the parking lot. So it's a site plan and design review. We also require a use permit. In the NC Flex zone, public and commercial parking lots require a use permit, and the findings for that are essentially compatibility with the neighborhood.
My client, of course, her home is right there. She's deeply concerned, of course, about having the public coming and going right next door. And one of the requests we made is that the entrance be moved to the other end. And I don't know why, but that wasn't acceptable. That was actually a really important one for her. That coming and going and, cars going uphill in the middle of the night adjacent to your bedroom window could be a little bit disruptive. And so I think one of the things that I've thought a lot about is I don't understand the urgency. I'd had a lot of conversations with the city manager, the city attorney, and we had, talked quite a bit. And so when one of the neighbors called me and said, hey, this is coming back to the Planning Commission, I thought, I was surprised that I hadn't heard from anyone. And there's really been no interest at all in, let's get this through. We don't really want to talk to the neighbors. From my perspective, not doing any environmental review is a mistake. And, CEQA isn't designed to generate paperwork. It's designed to create an environment where you can make an excellent decision. And so I don't understand the resistance to doing an initial study. There are going to be impacts here. There are going to be traffic impacts. And the notion that parking lots don't generate traffic, this is an empty lot. And there are going to be 32 parking spaces. So these neighbors are going to have a lot more traffic to contend with.
I agree with Marcia that there hasn't been an initial study, but I don't agree that there's been zero environmental review. This is the most thoroughly studied exempt project that I've experienced in my service to your city. You hired a historical consultant to provide you a report on the historic issues. You have analysis from your staff of the traffic issues, and Marcia's vocabulary about intersection impacts. It's not the law anymore. We don't do level of service analysis anymore. And we gave up level of service analysis, how many cars can you fit through the geometry of a roadway, in favor of vehicles miles traveled, specifically to encourage more intense use of urban spaces and less Orange County, where you pave the world in order to provide lots of places for people to put cars. So it was intended to favor uses like this.
I like the two suggestions that Michael just made, that we not make it completely overnight parking for anybody, but it be limited to people who have a residential parking permit. I think that this parking lot as proposed offers a real opportunity for people on Mill Street, simply because there's really poor parking there. If you walk or drive along there, you can see a lot of the houses don't have their own driveways to go onto the property and park. They simply do not have parking. So I think this would alleviate that to some extent. I like limiting the hours till 11 p.m. for commercial purposes, because I think that's a legitimate concern of having people you don't know walk by your house and drive in and out, at odd hours of the night. I will say that this is an urban environment. I'm in support of. I'm for denying the appeal, but also for supporting the project with some additional caveats.
It's good to know that some people do want to use this parking lot. to be frank. I wasn't sure. So, you know, a lot of people across the street on Mill Street just do have a driveway coming down from Church Street. So, but there are like 3 to 5 houses that I think it does behoove, you know, potentially to have this. So when you look at the parking lot that's under the freeway, when you look at like parts of the Safeway parking lot, I worry that this parking lot doesn't get used. So I would like to see a little bit better design. And then what really, really irks me with this is that I do get the complaint all the time that housing is an issue. We are buying a residential lot and taking it off the market. I don't get parking complaints really. I don't go on social media probably enough. I get housing complaints all the time. And so I would like to see housing on this lot.
Regarding other concerns, Tom, your concerns on housing, that the lot was for sale after the structure did burn. It was for sale for quite a while, and it gave some developers an opportunity to come in and pick it up at a substantially reduced price. Nothing happened, and that was during a kind of a boom, I guess. We recognized it back in 2018 as an opportunity. This was before COVID. Now, we're not looking at this for just COVID period, but the potential for having everything being open at full capacity. And when that was, it was a lot different. There was a lot of activities with the Center for the Arts, the movie theaters, restaurants, where people had full employment. So it was a little bit different back then, but I understand that from what we look at it now, that perspective, because I look around and I drive around town and I see there's not a lot of issues for parking. I mean, I've really nailed it every time pretty much, but this is not normal times. And we really need to think in the future for when a lot of these things come into fruition.
In the end, the council voted 4-1 to move forward with the project. Next Wednesday, August 4th at 7 p.m., Grass Valley City Council will be holding a special meeting to review the 3 design concepts for the future Mill Street Downtown Promenade. Public participation in the process is encouraged. To submit public comments via voicemail, call 530-274-4390, or you can email your comments to public@cityofgrassvalley.com. Comments will be reviewed and distributed before the meeting if received by 5 p.m. Comments received after that will be addressed during the item and/or at the end of the meeting. You can find all the documents to review beforehand at cityofgrassvalley.com. As a reminder, the Nevada County Fair's Community Involvement Day is this Monday, August 2nd, from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Main Street Center. Community Involvement Day is an opportunity for people to donate goods to local nonprofits in exchange for 2-for-1 advance sale ticket coupons for the fair. Those who donate blood to Vitalent will receive a free admission ticket to the fair. The participating nonprofits are the Food Bank of Nevada County, Foothill Lions, Bright Futures for Youth, Story Club of Nevada County, Connecting Point, Caring Closet of Nevada County, Community Beyond Violence, Nevada County Diaper Project, and Seroptimist International of Grass Valley's White Barn Project. For more information, including a list of which items each nonprofit is looking for, visit nevadacountyfair.com. Here at Nevada County Media, we've still been working to produce quality programming featuring our community. One of the shows we're producing is our cooking show, Let's Get Cooking, featuring host John Voorhees with a guest chef. We just released our most recent episode on Facebook and YouTube, where our guest chef Sue Shrimkoff made some delicious pad thai. And be on the lookout for more episodes in the near future. We'll leave you tonight with a few clips from this episode. And remember, stay safe, take care of each other. We'll see you next week.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Get Cooking, Nevada County's highest rated cooking show on public access, filmed here in this studio. And boy, do we have a special show for you today. Our guest chef today, Susan Shrimkoff.
Put that right in is key. And then, you know, you can mix some of those veggies in as much as you want. There's a little spice over there. And I hope that this exceeds your expectations. Mm.